A dragon, a multi-headed, lion-like leopard rising from the sea, a dragon-like sheep emerging from the earth, these two beasts bent on global deception, forced worship, restricted market access, persecution, a mark to separate the faithful from the compromised. Revelation 13 is terrifying. And if that was the final word that John had to offer to his readers, if it ended there, there'd be no hope. But there is. And before we get into it, hi. My name's Corey, and this is RedeemerOnline.church, and it's my mission to help you understand and practice the Christian faith, regardless of your church attendance. And if that's something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button. On this channel, we've been going through the book of Revelation together because when life gets chaotic, Christians often run to this book looking for apocalyptic answers to their chaos-induced questions. But if we're going to understand what it might mean for us, we have to first wrap our heads around what it meant to the original readers. So, Revelation 13 was terrifying, but 14 begins on a completely different note. Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb, standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. Now, why does this part of the vision matter, jumping in here? Well, John's original readers lived under the brutal power of Rome. Many had seen their loved ones imprisoned or tortured or killed for the faith. To them, the beasts of Revelation 13 weren't predictions. They were present realities, symbols of corrupt empires and false religion, bent on erasing their movement. And to any reasonable person living then, it seemed like the beasts were winning. Their hope was slipping away. And so John gives them this counter vision, a vision rooted in an ancient text from their religious history. The nations rage, the kings of the earth conspire against the Lord, but he who sits in heaven laughs. See, despite the chaos, the Lamb stands victorious, a direct challenge to the beasts. The image of Jesus is triumphant, standing on the home turf mountain, even as the dragon rages. This isn't a picture of defeat. This is a vision of victory. And that Lamb isn't alone. And I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of rushing waters, like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like the harpists playing their harps, and they sang a new song before the throne. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. So what's the song? Well, I don't imagine it's a soft worship ballad. I like to picture that it's like the haka, the song performed by the All Blacks of the New Zealand rugby team before a game. It's not the kind of song you sing. It's a song you declare, the kind that everyone who hears it can feel in their bones. And then John gives more details about this elite group of warriors. These are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remained virgins. Now, that phrase kind of sounds odd to our modern ears, but John's actually employing a military reference here. In Israel's history, soldiers preparing for war would abstain from sex. It was a ritual that symbolized that the battle ahead of them was a holy one. This wasn't just about personal purity, it was about being ready for the ultimate battle. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among mankind and offered as the first fruits to God and the Lamb. This last part too, first fruits, might not hit us as hard as it would have hit the original readers, because most of us are disconnected from agriculture. In the ancient world though, the first crops of a harvest were brought to the temple as an offering, and then there'd be this community celebration in anticipation of the rest of the harvest that was going to come in. The first fruits were like a promise, a guarantee that a much larger harvest was coming. This group, the 144,000, they're not the whole harvest. They're just the first crop. They're the first to suffer, yes, the first to endure, the first to pass through the fire, but they won't be the last. So to John's audience, this vision would have functioned like a lifeline, a reminder that even though the beasts seem powerful, even though persecution is real, even though the world looks like it's ruled by the dragon, the Lamb still stands. They are not alone, and they weren't forgotten. And maybe that's still relevant today. I mean, we still live in a world that often feels ruled by beasts. Political chaos, corruption, deception, religious abuse, scandals, power being used for control rather than for healing or helping. It's easy to feel outnumbered and overwhelmed. It's easy to wonder if faithfulness to the Lamb even matters anymore. But Revelation 14 has continued to speak to Christians throughout the centuries, telling them that in the end, the Lamb wins. And if you remain in him, you'll stand too. You're not alone. And if you needed to hear that today, stick around, because the next part of Revelation 14 is about to get even more encouraging and a little bit weirder.